Hello. Okay. I wanted to make a video on my thoughts and sort of my perspective on why. Well, first of all, I'm introducing the idea in this sort of log that I'm keeping on this YouTube channel. I'm sort of documenting my journey through trying things, experimenting with things that feel more like myself, but I don't really know how, I don't know where this is taking me, only that I know that it's connected to me being a successful person and me being more in love with who I am and like why I'm here than ever before. Like embracing my authenticity and embracing my perspectives and my joys and my passions in life so that it becomes more supportive rather than something that feels like it's competing with my other goals. So, for example, the idea, so I think the best way for me to say it is, whoops, why did we get out of focus? Okay. Ooh, I almost disappeared for a second. So I created a character sheet that's part of my series on being a human design projector. And in this experiment of what it means to be a projector in human design, I thought it would be really fun to track my experiment on paper because I like character sheets and I like D&D and I love having aspects of myself being different personas and understanding myself through other characters. And so I was sitting this morning with my character sheet in front of me, just like feeling into, okay, this is kind of new for me. Like, what am I even doing here? What is this? And I was looking at my character sheet. I was going through my different stats here about which one do I feel I kind of want to contemplate on. And I came right to the fantasy alchemy. And so I kind of wanted to document what that means to me because I feel like it's what is supporting my current creative projects and interests. And this is gonna be a video on passion, not like undermining or discrediting your passion, not underestimating it. What I feel is that I wanted to make a statement. I wanted to like put my perspective on this channel because it's so core to everything that I'm doing. And that is that a lot of people, I feel, look at fantasy, storytelling, the arts, movies, video games, fantasy novels, basically anything fiction or story driven as entertainment. That's what they view it as. And while there's different levels of entertainment, like there's entertainment that's meant to be more superficial and more just a way to be in a cathartic, chilled out state, then there's things that really engage you and they go deep and it requires more focus and attention. It's more immersive. And so I get that there's different kinds of where things can be entertainment for the sake of entertainment. That being said, it's also been my experience that a lot of people who are passionate about fantasy, who love to play games, love to watch movies, love to delve deep into the realm of fantasy. I almost said Final Fantasy because that's my favorite story. Not going to get into that. Probably will get into it. So I wanted to please bear with me as I'm getting used to making these videos. It's so weird. I'm like documenting something, but I'm also experimenting with something, so I'm finding my voice in what all of this is. So thank you for letting me be awkward. So for the statement I wanted to make and have it like sort of out there is I think one of the reasons why people tend to take fantasy and say, oh, that's just entertainment or that's a way of escaping is number one, I think it can be. Let's just say it. But I don't think it always is, and I think most of the time it's not. I think that the reason why somebody might interpret as escapism is because there's something underneath it that's wanting to speak to you, but it's the path of least resistance. It's like the most direct path to communicate to your psyche, to your subconscious, that you are open to hear, because when there's something we're meant to learn about ourselves, the way nature works is it for it to be the most like fun and effortless and childlike way of landing with your heart, of speaking to you, because your defenses are down, you're not walled up, you're sort of in this open space where you can receive the deeper messages underneath. And the way that you know you're actually integrating something is because of how much fun you're having while it's happening. And I know that not all integration and not all learning lessons in life is a fun thing, but it can be more fun when we just sort of crack our minds open and allow that to be a possibility. So something that I'm passionate about, that I'm discovering more deeply, is that I want to bring fantasy more into my world as an anchoring way to show myself what I'm really here to experience. I think what I notice happens is when a person actually starts to pay attention to, okay, there's a reason why when you're in a realm of fantasy that speaks to you, there's a reason why it excites you and you feel things that you don't typically feel in like everyday life. That's what I want to say. There's a reason why it's passionate. There's a reason why it's exciting. There's a reason why there's like a lot of times this theme of a hero going through the depths of it and having this rich, exciting, plot twisting, mind bending experience. And then all the feels that you feel along the journey, they're there for a reason. They're there for a reason. And that's where I think people think that it's entertainment, because people think you only feel those things when you're not dealing with reality. And I think that's a big fat lie that people just assume is true. My experience is the more you tune into the things that excite you, bring you joy, words, the more it expands you and allows you to open up to more of who you are. And if something excites you, it's teaching you something about who you are. And what I think is ultimately going on beneath, that's why storytelling is the richest way to communicate any idea, is because it speaks to the whole of who you are, not just your mind. And it also helps you relate. It forces you, it causes you to relate to your own story, your own life experience in a way where you get to see how you fit in something that's this sort of an arc, like a theme. So a certain movie or book or game will lead you through a story that has a certain theme. So for me, I love Final Fantasy VII, and that's all about grief and loss and like who do you identify? Like what is your identity? Thank you for bearing with me with the words. Who do you see yourself to be? What is your identity after life? Especially when you have someone in your face that's feeding you lies and trying to rob you of your identity and replace it with bullshit. So that's Final Fantasy VII. But this video is about me sort of putting that perspective out in the world, and it's going to be explored a lot through projects I'm working on and things that I'm doing with my work. And it's just a fun conversation, I think, is how how can we start in the world? How can we start to redeem and take back passionate storytelling, character development, the fun of being on a journey and an adventure? Like, how can we start to understand ourselves and our own authenticity more through these things that excite us and make us feel the feels, so that not only are we more connected to our authenticity, but we get to be and express more of it out in the world. And therefore, part of my experiment is to bring that which excites me into all the projects, all the work that I'm doing in the future, so that my life becomes more fantastical, more exciting. The last thing I wanted to say as I'm sort of capping this video is it came to my attention, my memory, a few weeks ago, the movie The Neverending Story. And I actually did read the whole book when I don't know, I was in middle school. It's been a long time. I don't remember a lot about the book. I have some memories, but I do know the movie ended only halfway through the book. And the part that they leave out is that Bastian doesn't actually just return to his reality. He stays in Fantasia for a long time. And the longer he stays, he forgets about his life back in the old world, if I'm remembering correctly. But there is something about he dove far into Fantasia in the first half to claim back his imagination and his passion and his childlike wonder. But then he lingered there too long and sort of went the polar opposite and lost the grounded version of him that was back in reality that also was meant to be a part of him. That's this thing. This is for me, this is it. This idea that we compartmentalize the imaginative, playful, adventurous fantasy parts of us over here. If you're like me, if you're not a fantasy passionist, then you have other things that excite you. But then the whole like the reality that we live in, the day to day, the way in which we work and experience ourselves in this grounded reality, this world, one isn't better than the other. One isn't right or wrong. It's just the two different aspects that we're meant to experience in like a whole way. And that's what Bastian in the Neverending Story ends up doing is he ends up being able to take the whole of his experiences, swinging one polar way this way and then one polar opposite way that way. But then in the end, he gets to take all that he is with him and like be a whole person. And that's also Final Fantasy VII is about how do I let the parts of my past that felt like they took away from me, how do I keep those close and not let them overpower me, but become this wholly integrated person who gets to have a brand new, satisfying future because I didn't reject, but I included and I kept close those things that matter to me. So I guess that's what I'm saying in this video is fantasy is something that's close to my heart. It has been ever since I was little and can remember. I was a very imaginative. I loved to just role play. I didn't need friends. I liked playing with friends, but I would oftentimes want to just sort of go in my backyard and just act out all kinds of things that I would get lost and immersed in these worlds of like who I wanted to be in that time. I was super into collecting like dress up outfits, like had all these costumes and dresses. I loved like really beautiful princessy dresses. But then I continued to do those things even when I was in my teenage years until I started getting made fun of. And I was like, maybe 15-year-olds don't do this anymore. I don't know. What I needed to be was plugged into theater, but that's a story for another day. I wasn't allowed to do any of that stuff growing up. So this is what happens when a person lived an early part of their life where those, like my childhood was very, very suppressive in not allowing me to explore childlike wonder, fantasy, those things. I did have avenues of it, but it became more and more wrong as I got older. When I was an adult and I left, it was all religious related. But when I left those religious ideas behind and I moved and I found my truth, I little by little, baby steps, started retrieving these parts of me. And it's been a while now that I felt so whole in who I am and what I want to explore and what my truth is and how I want to be in the world and like the mark that I want to leave on this planet because I am a champion and a celebrator and the biggest fan of the human spirit. And you are a hero. You are the main deal in your life. You are this incredible gift that is here to claim your own treasure in your own way. And I just love that. I love that I get to, in different ways, witness the people in the world. I like to pay attention to people who are really intentional about how they're living their life and being able to be free to be who they are. So anyway, that's what that was about. So on my character sheet where I have fantasy alchemy, it's how I'm going to explore creating a new way of morphing my fantasy and my quote unquote reality together to become a life experience that feels really good for me and really supportive and like a celebration of who I am, if that makes sense. That's my thought is passion around fantasy is not and does not have to be an escapism or entertainment only. Yeah, it's entertaining, it's fun as fuck. That's why we love it. But also, there's something so much deeper. There's so many core truths. And if we can just somehow inside of us feel like we're letting this like open up and like be a little bit more curious and explore, like, man, what does that really say about me? Like, if I feel this in my body at this moment in this story about this character having this sort of breakthrough or confronting this demon or whatever, what is that telling me about me? What, when I feel that inside of me, what does that mean for me? And how does that feel connected to how I'm living my life or maybe how I'm holding back? And in the most fun ways, like not in an essay having to figure out like the right answer. This is like an exploration of the soul. So that's what I wanted to say on this video. And I thought it would be a good thing for me to make its own video to spotlight this aspect of me and my perspective because it's so behind so much of what I'm creating in my life and connected to the people and the friends and the community that I want to have. Like I want to be surrounded by more like-minded people who want to explore this particular path. So anyway, thanks for watching if you stayed with me this long. That is my perspective on fantasy versus reality, that they're not in competition, but they are actually one and the same, and permission to have more fun in life granted. So I hope that this video spoke something to your heart. And if there was something that really made you think deeper on, man, like I'm having this memory of this story that I've like really loved, and these are the parts that really moved me, or oh, that really makes me think differently about my life, or just whatever comes up for you, I'd love to hear it in the comments. And thanks for being a part of the channel. And I really think you're awesome. I think that the hero spirit lives in every single person on the planet, and the degree to which you're having fun and the degree to which you feel like you get to have an adventure but also feel supported in life is really important, and I support you in it and I'm here for you. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, but thank you for tuning in and being you. All right, peace out. Bye.